So we both met in college. I was a freshman. For no better words, I was just mesmerized because she was really pretty. My sophomore year of college, I got the opportunity to lead worship with her.
Cyril wasn't the kind of person that was just going to let me think whatever I wanted. He always challenged me. He always made me think deeper about what I believe, which I really, really loved about him.
But the closer we got together towards the beginning of our relationship, the more of a struggle it was to remain pure. We were considered leaders in our campus fellowship as well as in our community, and Ruth was on staff counseling and discipling college students at the time. So that burden of being a leader and then going through what we were going through and keeping it in the backdrop and not actually seeking help and taking steps also weighed down on the magnitude of everything.
So the end of January, I remember it was a Saturday night and it was raining. And I texted Cyril and I told him, Cyril, I think I might be pregnant. And the response I got from him was, there's no reason to worry. There's no reason to get upset about anything yet because you don't know. So go get a pregnancy test just to make sure. And I went and got a pregnancy test and I came back. I took the pregnancy test and it didn't even take, I think maybe 3 or 4 seconds for it to show up positive. The only thing I can remember was I just went completely numb. And I was standing upstairs in my bathroom and I called Cyril, and all I can remember at that point is that I just whispered, Cyril, I'm pregnant.
That weekend, I had a lot of friends come down from Dallas, and we were all in a hotel room, and we were just hanging out. I went and checked my phone, and that same numbness that what Ruth was saying she felt, I think it came over me as well. I just stood there. My face it felt like the blood had just left my face, and all I knew was that if I kept it inside of me, I would probably have gone mad. So I went inside the room, and I pulled out my 3 closest friends. Their names are Alvin, Steve, and Ebby. And I had tears flowing out of my eyes, and I was just shaking. And about 2 or 3 minutes after, I was able to tell them, guys, I got Ruth pregnant. And they just held me because I broke down in their arms. My background, I love being a South Asian American, specifically an Indian. But we come from a very shame-based culture. It's all about what you were doing. So if you were an active participant in church-related activities, and if you were academically doing fantastic and going into a field where things were going to be well off for you in your future, you were just seen as the perfect person. But at the same time, that also meant if you made a mistake, not only did your parents find out, not only did your close family, but literally everybody in the community, I'm talking about thousands of people, would find out about it, and you would be seen as someone who would walk around with a scarlet letter. You'd be ostracized from the community. It would also bring shame to your parents and the reputation of your parents, and obviously yourself and all your family would be just ruined. And so we knew immediately that going into what we did and making the mistake that we did would have the same consequences.
Cyril was the one who was more of like, okay, let's think this through. What are our options? What are we gonna do? And I was like, we need to have an abortion. There's just no way. There's no way we can live through the embarrassment that we're gonna bring to not just ourselves but to our families. But the first step that Cyril took was he made an appointment at a clinic in Dallas, and he drove down. And as soon as we got out of the clinic, we walked out with a bunch of different pamphlets. We sat in my car. We went ahead and made an appointment. And the earliest appointment they had from that point was like a week and a half.
A week and a half later would have been right at the 7-week mark. So if we didn't do it then, we would have had to have gone through the surgical route.
There was like this thought that kept running through my head that kept telling me like an abortion is the only answer. It's the only thing that's going to save you. It's the only thing that's going to save your family. It's the only way to keep your life from falling apart.
The way I looked at it, it was either going through with the abortion and just having to live with it for the rest of our lives, almost certain that it would probably destroy us in our relationship. But the other option was keeping the child and bringing shame on my parents forever, our parents. And so at that point, it was picking the worst of two evils.
I can't even remember a more like dark time in my life than that week and a half. Even in that, there was this voice that kept telling me, like, the right thing is not always easy. It's the only thing that I could feel God telling me was, like, the right thing is not always easy.
So the guys that I had told, they were, in the whole time period, they were very supportive. And Ebby was also there for us, but at the same time, he was, out of the three, he was the one that was very adamant about us keeping the child. And he was saying that it may look bad right now, but a year from now, when we're holding our child, there was only one decision to be made. He took it upon himself that this child was someone that he cared for deeply, and he wanted to make sure that we didn't go through with it. So the day we were going, or when Ruth was going in to get the abortion, her appointment was 11 o'clock in the morning, and I went into class at 8 o'clock that morning. And we were both pretty much just really upset that morning because we knew what we were gonna do. And I remember texting Alvin, Steve, and Ebby, and I just asked them for prayer. But I didn't get a response from Ebby within an hour. And so I knew something was off. And so an hour had passed by, and he finally texted me back, and he said, "Cyril, I'm so sorry to do this, and I know you're gonna hate me forever." But I went ahead and texted Subin and Sheba, who is an older couple, just by a couple of years in our community. And he told me that he had texted them and that they were gonna reach out to me. And right then and there, I lost it. I went off on him and told him he was the worst brother, a friend I could ever have. And of course, within 10 to 15 minutes, Subin had texted me, and he basically had told me the same things Ebby had said. He said that we can't go through with the abortion, that we'd be making a huge mistake. He even said that we would have blood on our hands.
But at that point, I just wanted to follow through with it. And so I got in my car and I started making my way to the abortion clinic. And the whole way I was crying and at the same time receiving texts from Subin and Sheba and from Ebby, all telling me, like, don't go through with this. Please don't have that abortion. Please just, this is a life, like, keep this life. This could be your child.
I was sitting in class and I was away from my phone, and the clock was rolling. It was 10:15, 10:30, 10:45. I had no idea where Ruth was at that point. I went back to my phone around 10:55 or 11 o'clock, and I asked Ruth where she was, and she was sitting outside of the abortion clinic ready to go in. And at 11 o'clock, Ruth had asked me, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna have the abortion? And I just said, no, we're keeping the baby.
We moved forward and we decided the best thing for us to do was to get married. So we had a court wedding March 17th, and then we had a church wedding May 25th, so we could involve our churches and our families.
The best way to handle everything was to be very straightforward about everything. And so we wrote down a list of 25 to 30 people who we just wanted to have one-on-one conversations with and tell them our entire story and what we decided to do. And we did that. We went and had conversations with all of them. I think we had a total of 40 to 50 conversations, individual conversations. And we didn't know what to expect. We had no idea. We thought that we'd be judged and cast aside and ostracized. But on the contrary, we were met with grace and love and mercy that we had not expected, especially our parents, who we did not know how they were going to react. But after the shock and after all the confusion and pain that they felt, they huddled around us, and they, till this day, have been supportive of us and have taken care of us. Our son was born October 5th, and after we got married, things seemed a lot more normal. We just seemed like a regular married couple that was about to have their first child. Basically, after we had decided to keep him, we had already known what his name was going to be. He was going to be Judah Ebby Thomas. I just keep remembering what Ebby and Subin had said, that a year from now, when we're holding our son, there was no other decision to be made. And well, they were both wrong, because it didn't take a year. It took us only like 2 days after holding him that we knew that there was only one decision to be made. And he's a great son. He's every father's dream of having a son.
I don't even know how to explain how much we love him. We're doing great being parents. We're exhausted, but we're good being parents. I love it. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. I think we've ever done, but I think we've grown so much, and he's definitely taught us a lot of what it means to be a child of God, and also what it means to be a parent, and just understanding God's grace and his patience and kindness. You know, we made a mistake. We fell into sexual sin, but what I saw in our situation is when we made that decision to turn and to obey God, he took this thing that we thought was going to be a consequence, that was going to bring sadness and just break our family apart. He took this beautiful life and he made it this example of his love, and this example of his grace, and this example of redemption and what he does for us daily.
When we see a mountain that's so high and we don't even see the top of it, and it's sitting in the most dense of darkness there could be, that he still somehow just cuts right through it and he makes a way. We looked at what was in front of us and we thought there was no way we could get over this. There's no way we're going to come out of this unscathed. There's no way we're going to survive this. We're going to be destroyed. But now looking back on it, we've seen the fingerprints of God all over it. All because we had to just simply trust him, because there was no other choice. When we made the decision to keep the child, keep our baby, we were just saying, God, this is in your hands. We can't do this on our own. And he delivered unlike any other time in our lives, regardless of what goes on. And not many people can identify with us because they don't go through this, but even in their own situations, God is always faithful. He will make a way. Even if you see nothing but darkness in front of you, he will cut right through.